Largo.
All right. Call this meeting to order. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. FLSD Policy 0165.1. Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to go ahead and read our mission and vision. Oh, my phone just turned off. Our mission is to foster a community of learning and belonging. Our vision is to be a learning community centered on strengths and possibilities to empower our students and staff to think critically, grow intellectually, and live with integrity. All right, moving to item 3, additions to and approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, do we have any additions to the agenda? It's minute, it doesn't matter too much, but under board coordination, can we add, what would be the right wording, like approval of or confirmation of the handbook edits in words there?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay, anything else? All right, all those in favor, please indicate with aye. Aye. Item passes. Moving on to item 4, approval of the minutes from the regular meeting of September 16th, 2024. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, Jaleesa moved, so second. Any discussion on the minutes? I thought there was a special meeting as well.
Was on the 30th.
There was.
Yeah.
You know, I get that.
I got the minutes, but it's not listed here.
Okay, can we add that, just verbally?
Okay, verbally adding that.
Okay, yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the minutes as well for the special meeting on September 30th? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Item passes. Approval of the minutes for both the regular meeting, September 16th, and the special meeting, September 30th. All right, item 5.
All right, I'm going to start with an overview, a little more detailed overview of our report card. And I'll go through it with you all. There's also technical documents I can send you, which are wonderful reading. If you are so inclined, just let me know. But overall, we received a 3-star rating as a district from the state, which is a meet state expectations. Not where we want to be, but where we're currently at. This is just a reminder of our mission and our vision, which we just read, and our purpose, which is to nurture each person's sense of self so they know they matter. All right, so our students, this is a list of our demographics that showed up on our report card for last school year. So these were the students who were in our seats, and the breakdown of the demographics, and also our students with disabilities percentage and our economically disadvantaged percentage. And this just gives us an idea of who goes into the count, into the different measures. All right, the achievement measure. We got 2 stars on the achievement measure. This is based off of completely the state test. This is the percent of our students who meet proficiency. In the parentheses is the state percentage, and then the number in front of that is where we were at. So there are a few spots where we definitely have made gains and or are above state average, but there are also, particularly in math, continues to be an area where we're trying to figure out how do we close that gap. And so when we get to the gap closing and the other data points, I think you'll have a little bit more understanding of why or how this comes into play in the other measures too. Because the test scores show up in other measures, but achievement is solely that. And these are the achievement scores at our secondary campus and that go into the graduation rate. And so again, we have some highlights and then we have some not so great performance indicators. I will say for our algebra scores, and predominantly in our math. So, which is not new for us. This is something we did the curriculum adoption. We're trying to figure out how to shift our instruction so that our students gain the skills they need to demonstrate them on the achievement test. So a work in progress for sure.
Can I get the data just because the colors don't mean anything to me?
Yeah,
I can't tell
yeah,
the differences
absolutely.
in them, so.
Yep. All right. Gap closing measure. So for this one, a lot goes into this measure. It's one of the more complicated ones, but it shows how well schools are meeting the performance expectations of our students in English, language arts, math, and graduation. It also measures how we're doing in supporting our students who are English learners and our gifted students. And so some of our areas of strength in this measure were graduation. We got 5 out of 5 for how we support and the growth for our English learners. And then also our gifted progress, we got 5 out of 5. The areas that are areas of focus, our chronic absenteeism was up last year. Now, chronic absenteeism is a tricky indicator. It counts any student who misses 10% or more of the school year, which equates to about 2 school days a month. And those can be excused absences, those can be unexcused absences, those can be suspensions. All of those count towards that measure. And so we have a team looking at that to see if there are things we can do differently to bring that number down. So if a student is battling an illness, we have a doctor's note, it still counts against us. And so we did go through the students who were in this measure last year, and we definitely noticed some patterns. A lot of the students who contributed to this rate were students who had either medical diagnoses, or some of them were ones that we perpetuated through our discipline process with suspension. And so we're going to have conversations about that, or we are having conversations about that.
So is that gap closing an accurate description? Because I notice schools like Madeira and Indian Hill that don't have the language issues, like the different language that our students speak. They seem to get 5 stars on gap, and I think if there's no gap to close, how do you exceed that
I think that's
ranking?
a fair question, and I would agree with that, because if you look at, which is in a slide I have coming up, if you put us up against the CHL, and I've done that the last 3 years, I mean, everything is directly related to the demographics and the finance.
A school that had 1 star in gap closing happened to be an Indian Hill school, which meant the whole district was eligible for vouchers out, and the rule changed, like the law changed pretty much immediately. But it just, I guess understanding it all goes back to financial stability.
And when we get into the graduation, I mean, there are nuances in each of these measures that are incredibly frustrating, and they impact different districts in, I would say, inequitable ways. So.
Did you say that suspensions count also against absentee?
Yes.
Absentee?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not being in the
ISS?
building.
In school?
Not in school, out of school.
Out of school?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hmm.
So, something we're looking at, for sure. And then also our math group, we've got to figure that out, so. Graduation measure. So graduation measure, we got 4 stars. It combines the 4-year cohort graduation rate with the 5-year graduation cohort rate. So if you break it down for us, the 4-year for us this year was at 94.2 versus the state was at 87.9. And then when you look at the 5-year, we were at 95.7 and the state was at 89.1. There is a year lag on this. So this wasn't the graduating class of 2024. This was the graduating class of 2023, and the 5-year was the graduation class of 2022. So there is a lag in that data. I would say the other thing with the graduation data, we went back in it to understand who were the students, because like we said last year, we graduated all of our students. So who were the students that were counting against us? Why didn't we get the 100%? 4 of our students who counted against us were 4 students with disabilities who, through their IEP, continued their education. And 1 student was a residency issue, and the student was withdrawn and never re-enrolled. And so when that happens, that is considered a dropout, and that goes on us. And so just something for us to consider as we navigate those conversations with our families about residency, and if they're not going here, really making sure that we're doing everything we can to get them enrolled in another school district. If those 5 students were in this calculation, we would have been at 99% for that cohort. The other thing we already anticipate going into next year that's going to count against us is we have several students who enroll with us as juniors or seniors, and when they turn 18, they withdraw themselves. And so that is a pattern we are seeing along with some of our other surrounding districts, and so just something we're trying to figure out. They will tell us when they enroll, I'm here till I'm 18, then I'm going to withdraw and work. So we're trying to figure out what conversations or supports can we put in place to help them get their graduate and then go into the workforce. So early literacy measure, my existence. Okay, so we got a 1. We missed a 2 by 0.3%. And we spent time, a group of us got together, we watched the technical video on understanding this measure. There are 3 things that go into this measure. There is first the proficiency rating for our 3rd grade test takers. So how many of our kids are proficient? The second part is promotion to 4th grade. How many of our kids are promoted? And then the last one is improving from K to 3 in literacy. What's interesting about this measure is each of those 3 measures includes a different cohort of students. So it's really hard for us. We've sat down and we've tried to understand it so that we can better support our students, understand the measure, and explain it, because obviously this is a measure we put a lot of time and energy into our early literacy, and so we do not feel the one reflects what we are seeing. Our teachers are seeing different things. So what we've done so far to address it this year already is we did change our diagnostic. We've updated that. And then we have a team who's been meeting to review the data and try to make sure we're understanding it and ahead of it. We also will be working with a team to do a reading, is it just a reading achievement plan? Yeah. Okay. And that's due to the state by December 31st. We're actually hosting a literacy night next week for our families. So we've got a lot of things in place. But this measure, to me, is the one that does not correlate with the efforts and what's going on in our buildings for sure. So, but we'll continue to work on it and are. So this is just some things that I think go into and tell a little bit of our story. Our mobility, which is students moving in and out of the district, is the highest it's been since I've been here. It's at 12.2, and that is a challenge for us. That means we have kids coming, not staying. It's just challenging. And some of those students count in the report card, and some of those students don't. It depends. If a student isn't here at the end of October, they don't fall into the cohort. But if they're here at the end of October, they fall in the cohort even if they leave in December. A lot of times. Not all the times, because there's different cohorts. But, which is why it's so confusing. But so just know mobility is up, and that's a challenge. Chronic absenteeism is absolutely a challenge. I will say our student attendance and staff attendance were up. They were small jumps, but I will take that because we got to get people here in order to do the work.
So if student attendance is up but chronic absenteeism is up, is it the same kids that are not coming? Like, is it the same kids that are missing that more than 2 days a month?
Yes,
Okay.
they'll go into both these categories for sure. And then what we are trying to figure out too on our end in terms of our reporting criteria, do we fully understand what goes into that, and are we doing our best to report in the way that we need to?
Can we ask questions? Can we ask questions?
Tech.
No, but if you want to say afterwards, you can
Oh,
ask
okay,
me
got it.
questions, I'll
Yes,
answer them.
Yes, sorry.
All right, I will say, just for the board's reference and everyone else's, I do track the CHL's data compared to ours, because I think it does also tell an interesting story. This is, I don't know if it's on the right tab, but including the fiscal resources. But yeah, so we fall, and if you line it up, it absolutely lines up by the number of stars and the fiscal resources. So it's not an excuse, it's just a reality, and then we've got to figure out how we show up and in the measures that dictate,
So fiscal resources dollar per student?
not necessarily dollars per student, but definitely, we are the only, I think there's one district that spends less per pupil than us. We're at 12,916 as of last year. So the only two districts who spent less were Reading and Three Rivers. But we're at 12.
Well, so you said spent less, but we spend a higher percentage of our budget on students than most of those schools,
Yeah, and if
correct?
you look at overall budget,
Yeah.
the total, you've got us at 23,680,000, and that puts us at the lowest budget.
Right, so that's, I guess
Yeah,
my
yeah,
question
yes.
was, is it dollar, like total dollars in the district
Right.
that they have
Yeah.
to spend? Okay.
So I think in terms of, we are very mindful, and I think we're getting, use our dollars well. I don't think we have really anything that's not being addressed outside of facilities with our money. Like, our student needs are being met. We have some staffing challenges we've talked about, but I think overall, we're doing a really good job.
I hate the state.
That is linked if you want to dive into that more. All right, next steps. So we're going to, that represent really what's going on in our classrooms and in the district. And so my hope is, and in the district. And so my hope is when our families and our community see this, they can have a, it does celebrate all the great work being done. Because we also know our kids are more than a measure, for sure, so. And then last but not least, advocacy, partnering with other people who think there's a better way to measure public education and better way to fund public education, and continuing to be a voice for that in the spaces that we can. So that's the report card.
I really appreciate how deep you guys are diving into the data and what you need to look at proactively going forward. I know you and I have talked quite a bit on how we're viewing it, how often we're viewing it, the data, and the more you understand it, the better handle we seem to have on how we can impact it while also making our kids' lives better.
No, I
I
appreciate
appreciate
that.
that.
I'm gonna hand out, I got a couple more things real quick. All right, pass that down. What you're getting right now, when Lindsay and I met last month, she had asked in, two things. When I met with Lindsay, Delicia, and Grant a couple weeks ago, and we talked about what could student participation look like at the board meetings. And so I told them I would come with a proposed topics for the months going through June, and so those are listed there. Also with how they align to the strategic plan, because I think it's really important we continue to showcase things that align with that. So our first time would be next month, and we would bring a group of students to share about their experience in co-facilitating the Pro Action Cafe, if that works for the board. If there's anything that the board doesn't see on there that they're interested in, they can let me know, and we can work to get that included.
Is that available to the public, or is it just for the board's information?
Oh, no, we can make this available, but it would be at the board meetings. The other thing on there, Lindsay had requested was getting on the calendars dates for us to be available at the buildings to either have lunch or be in conversation with staff. And so those dates are listed. I worked with Carol Meredith. Those are the suggested dates. They will coincide Monday and Wednesday. Almost always they're the last Monday and Wednesday of the month. Those are the lunch periods. Finneytown Elementary, as you will see, is 3.5 hour span of time. And secondary is about 1 hour and 5 minutes.
Oh, I guess maybe not. So the November 27th, I know we don't have school for Thanksgiving break, but are the teachers in? Is the staff in?
No, they're not. Okay.
Okay.
I'll get a different date for that.
Will this take the place of the boardwalks that we were doing last year, or?
That's what I took away as the suggestion. Instead of doing the boardwalks, we would just be available, we would share with staff and be available in a space during their lunchtime.
Less pressure, more open, casual.
I would like to suggest that we do some sort of theme or question that brings people into the space, maybe that we can either co-create.
Do we have a backup just in case people aren't interested in meeting with us? Another opportunity to meet and be able to go in the buildings, because I don't personally think that people are going to be lined up to have conversations with us, but.
I would agree with that assessment. I think if what we can continue to do, and I can share anything, like I know there's a PBL project we're going to in Ms. Birchwell's classroom, I can share what that is. If 1 or 2 of the board members want to join for that, I can share events like that if you guys would like to join.
Yeah, I think if you could add those maybe to our calendar.
Most people are available during those times.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do we have a date for the PBL filter?
I don't have the one for the May one, no.
I just want-
See, I have-
I probably do.
Actually had 2.
So that's,
Thanks for doing that so fast. You got that put together really quickly. Thank you.
you're welcome. One more thing. So the next thing you'll get is my board update on the measures and monitoring for October for the strategic plan. Some of the, I won't go through all this, but there are a few things I definitely want to highlight. We just found out today, we got an awesome email from Sandra George. As you know, we are partnering with her through the American Youth Foundation and Interact for Health. Jen and Eric and I met with them 2 weeks ago on a Friday. They shared, we kind of shared our story. They shared that they were impressed by our work. They wanted to continue the partnership and even maybe help document it to share with other districts and other community organizations. And we found out today they have, they're going to give us $100,000 in grant money over the next 2 years. And so that we're hoping will continue to help with our youth advisory council, our retreats, and other things that are in the planning. Kudos to Jen, Eric, and Matt Bryant, who've been the brainchild in the planning for that. Yeah.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
It is. It was exciting. And Sandra has been a fantastic partner and champion for the district. She's the one who brought it to us, and we're very grateful for that. We also had an update on extended care. Starting Wednesday, our students are going to, who are in extended care, will get bused to the Y after school, and then they will get dropped off by their families in the morning and get bused to school in the morning. That is until we get licensing. That is not permanent. We anticipated the licensing being completed, and we were under the impression when we first met, within 30 to 45 days. It could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 months. So we do anticipate it before the end of the school year, but, before the end of this calendar year, sorry.
Could be 6 months.
Yes. So just kind of an update on that. We have Missy Wash. She has been fantastic about responding to our family's request. Overall, things have been going really smooth with that transition.
Right.
Other things real quick. I do want to put this one out as well. We started a new partnership with the Oaks this year with DECA, and which is basically a business cohort, we'll go with that language, where they start, and Mr. Andrews is teaching that. He's also being our point person for the Business Advisory Council. He has met with the alumni and Eric, he's met with me, Carol and Grant, he's got a lot of great ideas. But really what we're trying to do is get our kids the opportunity to design and present in front of other professionals to get feedback and really build those skills. And so that's been great to see take off.
Do you know when the first competition is or the first round is?
He did, I can email that to you, he told me when it is, it's in November, I know it's
Okay.
coming up. And he's partnered with other school districts just to get as much information as he can to really build the program. My kids were in the program in our district, and Ms. Miller's kids were in it, and the district her kids went to, so he invited us to come talk about it with the students. So we're really excited to see what happens there. And then there are other things on here. When you look at them, if you have questions, just let me know. Because I also want to be cognizant of time, and we have one more item that we need to talk about. Facilities update. So, we had, as many of you know, or if you've been following at all, our secondary campus project, we had come to budget, and then we were going out to bids for the project. The bids came back in, escalated, more than 20% over budget. That left us in a position where we don't have that as part of our plan right now. And so we met with Skanska, Elevar, and OFCC. One of the things we realized is we have some work to do to value engineer and get back to ODSM minimum. If I'm saying anything wrong, Grant, Anita, or Dave jump in. So we have been meeting regularly. The next step right now is to bring in vendors and experts and kind of try to get their input on things we might be missing within the design to try to get that back down. We have a few things in particular, including HVAC we've got to figure out. So more work to come on that. But here's the kicker, because of the over budget and needing to work through those things, we now recognize we will not be doing demolition till June, which means the entire project is set back 6 months. We recognize, and I know I've said this multiple times, we are doing the best we can with the information when we have it, and we had every intention of doing the demolition over Christmas break until the winter break until our bids came back in. It is my recommendation, based on the fact that we shared that with the community and our staff in early September, that we continue to honor it. But I want to bring it to the board for discussion, feedback, knowing that it is a, it's a week that we don't need for construction. The other thing I would say is we do have things currently. I'm meeting with the Y this week about a possible winter camp, and I just kind of want to make sure I'm not wasting anyone's time if we're going to change course. So yes.
I am of the opinion that if we said that we were going to have that extra week, families and staff, well, staff is going to be here, but families will probably have booked or made plans. Some of them may not be able to cancel that. I don't think it's fair to turn around and take it away. It's not efficient to have that week, but it's not fair to the families to turn around and try to have everyone change plans.
I agree.
I agree with that one.
Can we ask families? I mean, let's just keep it. I don't even want to go into it. If you recommend it, just keep it.
I will continue to work with the Y and Parks Connect to have an option for our families during that time. And I'll keep the board updated on what that comes to be, but I think the challenges we may face might be greater if we move
Yeah.
that from what we've already communicated. Our plan is to communicate with staff after the board meeting and then send something out to the whole community tomorrow about the shift, because obviously this impacts everything from our athletic programming and access to buildings to also us now thinking about summer and what does that look like and what do we need to shift, so.
And I do think that we need to have, the bigger conversation as well on the timing while you guys are going through the budget and reworking everything. Is there anything that can be done? Are there other options that maybe we haven't pursued to get us back on track? I really hate to delay the start of the new building.
And I think OFCC, with them being in the project with us, I think Tom Brandon will really work with Elevar, Skanska, and us to make that happen. So I felt encouraged after our last core meeting, despite the challenges we face.
And it is rough to hear, for sure, but
So what does this look like now? What is the process going forward? Would there be like fundraising, or what were we looking at for?
In order for us to
Alternative.
move forward, we've got to get it on budget, which means at least as close to with the minimum the manual allows us to do. If we go to minimum and we're still over budget, then we would ask the state for a budget adjustment. Those are rare and almost never happen, and we first have to get it back to base. Once we get to base, then as a district, we can decide what do we want to put back into the project, what do we have the money for, and what are we willing to spend? Because we all agree there are certain things we want in that building, and we're willing to pay for those. So we just need to go through that process. But the first step is getting to that minimum and determining whether, if we're at minimum, are we within budget, or do we need to seek an adjustment?
And you're restarting the long-term facilities committee.
We're gonna have a meeting in November, yes. The meeting will go out, because that too is part of an outline in the plan, strategic plan. So we will bring that team together sometime in November. We're still working on the date and getting that out, but yes, we'll bring that team together.
and as hard as it is to hear, one of the things that I heard from Grant is that demolition in December was part of the reason we were over budget, some of the costs, having it separated.
That
So
was contributing.
we're prioritizing. We're making sure that we spend the money on the right things in the right places.
And we weren't getting the same amount of bids as they anticipated because of our timeline and the complexities. And so moving it to summer, that removes some of that timeline barrier or timeline things that we were facing. We're hoping we'll get more bids. Maybe that will bring the
Then the
project
students
down.
won't be on campus. It might be a little bit easier with traffic and all of that
Yeah.
stuff, navigating all of that.
Yeah, situation.
Yeah. So, work in progress, so.
Okay.
So, do you have anything else to add to that?
No,
Okay.
it's fine.
Okay.
All right, anything else for the administrative report?
Nope.
All right, moving on to item 6, public address. Did we have anyone?
Yeah, I had a question while she was up there. Do we know why the mobility rate is so high, or are we looking into that reason? There's a specific reason why?
Not that I can attribute to, no. Just that we do have a lot of families who provide foster care in our community, and so sometimes that can be temporary. That could be a contributing factor, but nothing concrete. We haven't, that I could really pinpoint.
So were we supposed to register if we did have an address? Because I saw your face when he said that we did not have any public address. Were we supposed, is there a process that we should take?
There is a form.
Okay.
I'm not sure, are they over there?
They're on the table. They are supposed to be turned in before the meeting starts, so
Okay.
that the president can then.
So we were unaware,
Yeah.
but we do have children in the district and we do have questions for the board, so if that's okay, we would like to be heard at the public address section.
How about, I don't want to,
And the website doesn't indicate the process to come address the board. so.
understood.
Can we move on, give them a chance to fill in a form and
Yeah,
back in later in the agenda? Is
I
that allowed,
think, would that
Dave?
be okay if we move the public address to later?
If you want to do that.
I think we will. Does everybody agree with that? I don't want to make a decision.
I second.
for the board.
Yep.
Okay, we will move the public address to wow, there's a lot of pages to use.
Well, there's a lot of memories and stuff.
I can do it.
Should we do it before yours or after board coordination?
I need to make it mine.
Okay, let's make it item 9. And then you have a form now?
I do.
Okay. 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 Item 7 is review of the action steps from last month. Personnel committee to review and discuss COG substitute pay. That's done or not?
No, we have a planning meeting for it, but it has not been scheduled yet.
All right.
Coming soon.
Reprogramming the Board of Education swipe card badges.
That was done.
For what kind of access? Like,
I'd have to look what Latora did. I don't know the
Okay.
answer to that. I can find out and email you.
thank you. Review board policy, determine process for hiring a treasurer. I don't recall this being under your guys' names. Did I miss something last time?
No, we were going to
No,
talk, but
we
we're
were
talking
gonna
about
talk about it, but I think
Okay.
you and I had a conversation that we're gonna add that. Was that gonna be added to the executive session?
Yeah, that's the
That is
executive
the
session.
executive
Yeah.
Okay. Document the superintendent treasury evaluation process. We just discussed having that meeting. We were looking at Tuesdays. I think I was looking at the 29th. I don't know if you guys are available that Tuesday.
What time?
5:30?
Okay.
Does that work? Does that work for everyone?
And take a look and get back.
Okay.
But these should be fine.
Okay. Follow up on the Pro Action Cafe Walker Safety Session. That is complete. We have a meeting next week. Calendar invite link was sent out. Treasury evaluation review meeting.
We met, I have to make one change, I have not sent the evaluation back to Dave yet, but
Okay.
the meeting happened, and Dave knows what I need to do, and I will do it and get signatures.
Thank you. Item 8 was the special meeting on September 30th. And then the Finance Committee to recommend targets for budgeting. That is complete. All right. Cool. Excellent job, everyone. All right. Anything missed in the review of action steps? Okay. Moving on to board coordination. I know, he's flying around here. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. The Finance Committee, we met with Dave and Laurie and Anita, and great meeting. I think we came away with an understanding of where we were looking to go and for next year's budget, not for this school year's budget. So I think that went well. Also, I represented the board at the Springfield Township open house on the properties. Didn't get yelled at, so I don't know. The discussions that I had were neutral to positive. I didn't have anyone on the negative side. A few women asked how they could line up to be the first to buy the properties, even though we had to explain to them that that's not necessarily what's happening yet. That's just kind of what the township is moving with and starting, where we've given them the go-ahead to look into it. Was really, I think when people heard that it was exactly fit into the township's master plan, I think that was a step that helped. It was a bit of sugar, right, to go with making the medicine go down, I think. And the fact that the developer was there and he did a really good job answering questions that people had, and people were sort of moving through the different groups, and we had some former retired real estate agents that were like, you have to do this, and we had some other people that 60's a little many, but it wasn't, it's not like that first meeting, and it's not like, social media is kind of the dumpster fire of most neighborhoods, but it didn't go that way. I think people left there with a better understanding of the vision, I guess, and I think hearing that the developer is the one with the most skin in the game, in terms of he's the one putting money forward, he's the one taking risk with this. It kind of eased everyone's, it's not an apartment building. The issues that they had, they realized weren't going to be, their biggest fears were absolutely not what was coming out of this, or wasn't anyone's intention. So I think it was a good event to have. I think over 100 people showed up and asked questions. So I was pleased with that. But again, I would say I don't remember a negative conversation. It was neutral to positive, the discussions that I had with a bunch of people, a bunch of residents. So there's that.
Anything else?
Not for me.
Do you have anything, Seth?
Unfortunately, the alumni, they're retweaking of, they have so many committees, they're retweaking of how they're going to do it. So they didn't have a meeting this past month. The Crusaders finished off their first season with 3 home games at Finneytown and potential growth and possibly of moving into a different league. They'll be a better feeder for Finneytown. And with that too, of the 3 teams that we had, the 9 and 10U boys were able, were able to move into the playoffs. So our inaugural season will at least hit the playoffs on one regard. So I've been talking to our Crusaders coaches and talking to Coach Tatum and Ormac. We are all excited. Hopefully, Finneytown football will be stronger for a few years, and hopefully we'll have a junior high next year too. If I'm taking someone's thunder, I do apologize, but I'm very excited. Saw that the band actually made it to OMEA's. They got second place at Turpin High School, so that was very exciting and encouraging. I've been around a lot. I can't remember exactly all I've been to. But, the Follow Through the Cure went awesome and well, and the senior night that I did have the opportunity to go to was just a beautiful thing on the soccer field. So, thank you for coaches and administrators.
Do you want to go?
Sure. Okay, FMPA, I wasn't able to attend that meeting. It was my son's 13th birthday, so I had to be there for that. But they were able to share some notes with me. As a reminder, Grandparents' Day is coming up on November 26th, and that's going to be from 8 to 10. And Voices will be performing at the Grandparents' Day. Winter concerts are coming up. Students are working really hard for their first concerts. All the instructors had a lot of great feedback this year, even though some of the kids haven't been reporting that the kids who have been showing up have really showed up and working really hard. Students are going to be traveling to Florence, Y'all for the tree lighting on Friday, November 22nd. Ms. Fields is going to be heading that, and she is going to need a lot of assistance for that. So if you're interested in helping with that, please reach out to her. They're going to also be performing at Brookdale Nursing Home again this year. I don't know if you guys remember, but Ms. Fields took all the kids last year. It was a lot of fun. She's going to need help with that as well. So the program is growing, so she's going to need a lot more hands. I think there's a total of 83 singers participating this year, which is exciting that she's taken on her own. Mr. Daniel also expressed that the orchestra is moving along well. As I mentioned, they have about 17 students who are attending regularly. 5th and 6th grade students are receiving their bow license. They're beginning to work on using their bow. 7th graders have learned 2 out of 3 pieces for concert already, which is really good. 8th graders are developing more of a clear tone, working on rhythm charts, and high schoolers are submitting auditions for seating charts. Congratulations, I know Seth mentioned it, for the band receiving 2nd place, Class B, and they're going on to the finals. So we wish them the best of luck. Secondary PTA, they're going to be meeting on the 29th at 7 in the Media Center. They're still doing their fundraiser for Mayor of Finneytown. All of the proceeds go back to our staff and students. Renee Heath is organizing a coat drive. We have a lot of families who are in need of winter coats this year, so if you have any extra donations or you can be a blessing to somebody, please reach out to Renee Heath. Thank you to everybody who contributed for the conferences, anybody who prepared meals, donated, cleaned up. It was a success for that. PTA is hosting their Fall Fest this Wednesday, October 23rd, from 6 to 7:30. They're going to have games and candy and all kinds of different fun things for kids to do. There's going to be a pumpkin painting contest, and you can take advantage of that by submitting a pumpkin on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. I know Laurie mentioned Fall Into Reading. That's going to happen next Wednesday, October 30th at FE. Students can participate in a fun night of reading and activities. There's some coffee webinars that are going to be going on at the secondary campus in regards to the Great Oaks. Students who are interested in like engineering, robotics, nursing, surgical technology, dentistry, and more have an opportunity to take advantage of the Great Oaks coming and having webinars. Also, there's going to be college prep workshops on November 16th for families at, you can participate with this at Pleasant Ridge Montessori, and that'll take place from 12 to 4:30. Also, if your child is considering attending the University of Cincinnati, they have a Generation 1 where you can submit applications for students to receive like financial aid or social support if it's their first time going to college. So that's really important to keep our kids motivated. I was happy to see that in Carol's newsletters. Cincinnati State will be visiting the secondary campus Thursday, October 31st at 1:30. If you have any questions, you can reach out to Mrs. Krishan and Ms. Hansberry. Also, the winter sports kickoff is going to be happening on November the 7th from 6 to 7:30, and that's going to take place at FE. And 8th graders are visiting Diamond Oaks, and that's going to be October 24th, and that's going to be from 1 to 2. So a lot of great things happening at both campuses, so I just wanted to highlight that. We appreciate everybody's efforts. It's been a positive year so far, so I'm excited about it. Yep. That's all I had. Sorry, it was a lot.
No, it's been a busy month. So as far as sports go, I went to the senior nights for both soccer and the general fall senior night for all the different sports then. It was a lot of fun seeing all of the parents supporting and even the teams supporting each other. It was really nice to see all the seniors. And then Volley for the Good obviously also had a really great turnout. The shirts were fantastic. I thought those shirts were really nice. So that was fun. As far as OSBA goes, the conference is coming up on November 10th through the 12th. I will be there on the 10th and the 11th. As far as the actual meeting for the OSBA delegation, there's a few changes that I wanted to get everyone's opinions on. The first one, they have added in a resolution to add the wording to allow districts to charge for labor costs directly tied to receiving and fulfilling records requests. So we would be able, my understanding of it is we would be able to charge those requesting records requests only for the direct labor and costs of fulfilling it, is what the wording is saying. Now, it's not saying that we're going to do that now, but they're adding that to the resolution to work on. I have mixed opinions on this.
As somebody who regularly fills them,
I bet you hope that happens.
Right.
it would be a high labor cost for us because that is something Dave and I typically take the lead on. So.
Well, it depends if you can charge so much an hour, if you can charge Dave and Lori's hourly rate.
It is.
It would
Yeah,
be a very big difference.
Well, and I feel
It does take a
there's,
lot of time.
I think if that were to pass, there would be some things that we would want to put into it, such as how big of a request is it versus small ones. I would hate to restrict public access to public information. But also, I recognize the time you put into these, and sometimes it is extensive.
So we
So
maybe do it like if it's your first time versus second time, or if you've done it multiple times, then after maybe the first time you can be charged, or.
we would have to do that. But as far as this is not saying that we're going to go do it. It is saying that the OSBA is going to either fight for it, add it to their language, or not. And I have to vote on whether or not the OSBA goes and supports this or not.
I think it depends on what you guys want. You're the ones
We're
that
gonna have to talk to our
request.
lawyer anyway if it is to pass to find
Yes,
out.
it would
There's a
require
lot
a
more
lot
to
of,
happen. I
yeah.
think it's fine to investigate.
I
whether
think
they can
it's
do it.
it's one thing that we can definitely support, and then we would have to figure out if that were to ever happen, what we would go with. The other one, and this is where I may need your help here, Jamie, because I couldn't quite figure it out, requires any tax levy money be exempt from TIFs allowed under Community Reinvestment Acts.
That's more Dave than me.
Read it again.
And this is not saying that this is what would happen. This is me voting on whether or not the OSBA goes and advocates for it. Do we want the OSBA to fight for requiring any tax levy money be exempt from TIFs allowed under community reinvestment?
I think it's okay to support that.
Okay. Cool. That made that easy. And those were really the only two changes, so I'm hoping that this meeting this year is less dramatic and short.
Oh, last year was great. It was exciting.
Yeah, the year
On
before that
one
lasted
issue.
4 hours and starved us to death. The calendar coming up as far as the board calendar, we have October 25th is the Finneytown Elementary Social. I will be there. My daughter is going to be there, so I'm chaperoning, so why not be also as a board member. November 7th is the winter sports kickoff. I am out of town and not able to go. Seth? And then November 18th is the Pro Action Cafe. None of us can go that night. That is our board meeting. Also, it's not on the calendar, but I will make sure to add it. I thought November 15th is the Band of America. The marching
It
band
is.
goes to that.
It is.
Okay. I know that that's in Indiana, right?
It's at where the Colts play. Why can't I think of it?
There is a potential that I could
Lucas Oil
go.
Stadium.
Lucas Oil, thank you.
I'm gonna say potential for me to go because I may be in
Well-
Indiana
But they
anyways.
play in the evening. I think their performance time is 7 or 8 o'clock at night.
Okay.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, I usually go to most contests. I missed a few, but I'm trying to go to more contests.
Okay. And then with the holidays coming up, I went ahead and pulled the December schedule. December 4th is the orchestra concert. I will be there for that.
We have the link, don't we?
Yeah, it's in your email. December 6th is the K through 3 family event. December 10th through the 12th is the art show and book fair. And then December 11th is the band concert. So please don't forget to go in and sign up for the things that you want to attend.
You did email us?
Yeah. I can send it again if you need to, but
What time did what time did you send it?
I don't know, several days ago.
The calendar?
Yes.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, it was a couple days ago?
Yeah,
It was.
it was right after the last meeting, I think.
It will also be in the board update I send.
If you've opened
Okay.
it, go to your drive, and it's under the shared files in your drive.
Okay.
All right, and then acknowledge district committee report. There is none, right?
Did you want to talk about the?
Yeah, the board handbook was the next one.
Yeah, Seth and I met for the board handbook. Seth did a majority of the work, I'll be honest. He had it already laid out for us. We revised it and made the process really easy. So, thanks, Seth. Yeah.
At least personally, Dave, I apologize for the little typo I had, so I appreciate you finding that. But basically what it does is just, there's a few things that I felt need to be updated. Obviously, no offense, but Tony's not here. And just retweaking of some verbiage of how we say how the committees are, and as we changed a policy that, just to reiterate that as new board members come in, we do have to do a good job of reminding people that we talk to that they follow the chain of command, that if there is a good issue, we'll definitely listen to them, but we can help guide the issue to where it needs to go before we try to jump in and put our noses where it doesn't belong or whatever. So those were the tweaks.
Thank you for the work on that. I really appreciate it. And then the last one is we're meeting next Monday on the Walker Safety from Finneytown Elementary to Springfield Township. That conversation is going to happen then.
What was this again? I'm sorry.
Springfield, so out of one of the last Pro Action Cafes was a discussion on the safety of our walkers from Finneytown Elementary. And part of that, the follow-up Lori and I took, was that we would meet with Springfield Township to discuss the light timing, controlling the light timing, and getting better visibility for it being a school zone and more enforcement of the school zone. So we're going to talk to them about safety measures and what can be done, and maybe what needs more attention.
Where, when, and,
It's Monday and it's here,
Yep.
is that right?
At 4:30.
I would say no more than 2 of us should attend,
okay.
if possible. That way it's not a special board meeting. I planned on going, but
Yeah. I just want to say kudos to Jesse Martin,
Yes.
Dieters, and Grant, and our new crossing guards. They've all done phenomenal getting our kids to and from the stop walks. I've seen them intervene when we haven't had a crosswalk, so
I would
kudos to
like
them.
that officer,
Thank you.
assuming
Yeah.
he's doing an awesome
Yeah,
job too.
him as well, yes, yes,
Make-
yes.
being proponent of these changes as well.
Yep.
I think Seth knows lights.
yeah.
Big thing.
All right, anything else for board coordination? All right, moving on to public address. Do you have your forms? Yep. Can you bring them?
You or treasurer?
I can take them for now. All right. All right, I'm going to read off the top of the request form so that everyone is aware of the rules, and then we will begin. The board believes it is in the best interest and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from members of the public. It has been therefore a long-standing practice of the board to encourage and allow residents to speak at public meeting. This may be done by completing the bottom portion of this form and giving it to the board president prior to the board meeting. The following guidelines ensure that anyone interested in addressing the board may do so, and that the board conducts the business of the school district in an effective and efficient manner. 1. Attendees must register their intent to participate in the public participation portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting by completing this form and returning it to the board president or presiding officer. 2. Each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. 3. For the public record, each speaker addressing the board must state their name, address, and group affiliation if and when appropriate. Any material or handouts must be presented to the treasurer for record. 4. The naming of individuals, profanity, abusive language, and speeches that invade individual privacies will not be tolerated or permitted. 5. The board will take no action regarding matters or issues presented through public address in the meeting in which the public address was made. All necessary follow-ups will be made verbally or in writing at a later date. All right, we'll start with Fatima. Fatima. All right, you may begin.
So I have 2 issues. I talked to WOMAC about both of them. There is a sign at the track that says that residents will have access to the track during specified hours, but residents do not have access to the track. And he directed me to the board. So I would like to have access to the track as a resident of Finneytown. The sign indicates that I should have access to the track. I've been here for about 8 years, and we've always had access to the track. And I think that there are other measures that can be put into place. I don't know, maybe a camera, certain hours, giving people codes, but I would like access to the track. And then the second issue that I wanted to bring to the board was speaking to mobility. We have a sixth grader who is headed into junior high school, and he plays basketball, and he's really good at it, in my opinion. And yes, I'm biased, but we, it just seems like there is a lack of support for specifically that program. I can't speak to the whole athletic department. I can speak to the athletic department's record, which is, a bigger, wider issue. But there seems to be a lack of support, no access to the gyms, some type of strained relationship with FAA, which I don't know why. But my question is, as a district, what can we do to support our athletes? Because I think that one of the biggest reasons why mobility is so high, why we're looking at other open enrollment neighboring districts like Mason, like Lakota, is because there's no support for the athletic program, or maybe not the greatest leadership in the athletic program. So I would like to see and ask the board, what could it do to make, these resources, the gym, available to athletes like my son who want to be good, right? We're really banking on him being able to, go to college and maybe get some support, financial support for, the investment that we're putting into his athletic career. But the district provides no support. You can't get into the gym. Why? You just can't. And so, the district will come and ask for money from the taxpayers, but the district won't make these resources available to the community, and I don't understand the disconnect there. So, those are my two.
Thank you. Chad?
I just had two questions. I heard about getting the kids involved more during the summer program. I heard through the grapevine, but our kids need to be somewhere active, what I've seen over the summers. Some kids play video games, some kids, go on vacations with the families. But there's a chunk of kids that need to be active and participating in different camps, educational, sports, gardening. There's so many attributes for a child to learn outside of sometimes playing different sports. They can learn to balance themselves in different areas. And I know the kudos to you guys for the financial literacy class that you guys want our secondary. That is exceptional. But it's more to it. Teaching these kids about everyday life. Some kids are not going to go to college. Some kids are going to go to trade schools. Some kids are going to go with their parents and learn their practices. So how do we give these kids other options to life? Because, sports is one thing, and it teaches life skills, but how do we teach other life skills in other areas where we can have kids who are doing well in school who can actually teach others and engage with the other students during the summer? Having parents to volunteer. There's a lot of parents who will volunteer as we approach it, and so forth. And my last question, Jalecia mentioned Great Oaks. Now, there was a gap with the 8th grade during COVID, but they couldn't take the Great Oaks trip. Is there any way for those kids, maybe freshman and sophomore, maybe junior, possibly, I'm not sure, but I know for sure the sophomore class didn't take that trip, and they didn't get the experience to go see Great Oaks. So those are my two concerns for the most part. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll make one more note here. All right, thank you, Chad. And last is Anthony.
So as you probably know, I'm Fatima's husband. Kind of piggybacking off what both Chad and Fatima said. With FAA, the basketball season finna start, the winter sports. That's mainly what our son is into. And like she said, we've been out here for about four to 6 years playing basketball.
But in the neighborhood?
Yeah, in the neighborhood. Yeah.
2013.
So, we support FAA every year. I do what I can as a parent. I'm at every practice and trying to help out with coaching if I can. I even had some issues last year where I tried to, donate some funds to get some kids some basketball during the summer so they can get in the gym. Spoke with the FAA directors. The feedback was, negative. They told me the gym schedule was booked up. It's public. For the public to see. I looked it up. The gym was freed up all summer. Like I told them, I was going to support the kids because I am an entrepreneur, so I was going to use some of my funding to support the neighborhood kids. And we had all the feedback was negative. It was just no. Like I said, I don't know what they do for football, but basketball, there's a lot of kids that's running around here in the winter. They can't go out to the outside gym. They can't go outside and shoot. It's too cold. So what can we do for them in the winter? They don't have anything going on for us, the basketball health. It's kind of hurting me to see, my community looking like this. I got a lot of kids, they even come to our house. We got a basketball in our driveway, they'll come over because they can't get in the gyms around here. You come on my street right now, you might see 6 kids shooting around. You can't get in the gyms. No access at all. Even during the season, there was a couple times practice got canceled. You know, coaches wasn't there. The coaching, that's another thing. I don't know how we go about finding coaches, but
But FAA is not.
yeah, that's not the same. I
But it is
understand.
the feeder
Yeah,
program.
right, exactly.
And
Yeah.
it's just no support.
That's why I asked the mobility question, because, you know, I know that a lot of kids, you know, they love sports, and I heard that a lot of kids leave Finneytown because of the sport, you know, the support that we get. But that's my rant.
Thank you. All right. Check notes and we will follow up with you. Thank you. Can you pass this down, please? Thank you. All right. Moving on to financial matters. Do I have a motion to adopt the consent calendar?
Motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Dave.
Okay, first item, monthly financial report. So, for the month of September in the general fund, we had total revenues of $1,696,335. Fiscal year-to-date revenues, $8,720,577. Expenditures in the month of September in the general fund, $1,595,009. Fiscal year-to-date, $5,297,434. Ending cash balance in the general fund at the end of September was $17,411,406. Of course, there's a detailed backup attached, both for the current year and for comparison versus prior years. Item B, depository investment balances as of September 30th, 2024. U.S. Bank, $1,302,498. U.S. Bank Construction Fund, $2,852,003. Star Ohio Construction Fund number 1, $2,042,414. Star Ohio main operating account, $27,852,776. Star Ohio Construction Fund number 2, $3,210,607. And the Star Ohio State Share Fund, $2,048,830. Item C, interest earned on depository investment accounts for September. General fund interest income was $122,915.88. Construction fund interest income, $22,823.68. Item D is the monthly bond project spending and commitment report that is attached. Still not a lot of change taking place in this report. Very little happened in the last month. We still stand pretty much where we did before. At this point, we've expended $25,119,000 on our projects, which includes both the Finneytown Elementary and the secondary campus. We have $31 million available for this project, and that does include the state funds that are being given to us. Item E is a recommendation to approve the amended official certificate of estimated resources. That is attached. The district received a $150,000 grant, and that's been added to the estimated resources. That is a continuation of the high dosage tutoring grant that we received last year. And so that's reflected both in the estimated resources and in the permanent appropriations, which is the next item F. You can see that $150,000 is being appropriated for expenditure. And then item G is a recommendation to approve a payment as listed. Are there any questions?
All right, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. McMullen,
Yes.
Mr. Ray,
Yeah.
Ms. Lee,
Yeah.
Mr. Plow.
Yes.
Item passes. Okay, moving on to item 10, superintendent recommendations. Can I have a motion for the consent calendar?
So moved.
Thank you.
All right. Item A is acknowledgement of a resignation due to personal reasons. Item B is approval of payment for classified staff members who monitor detention and tutoring. Item C is payment for extended school year that was provided in the month of August, just getting that on there because we had it approved through the 31st of July and need to get it on for the continuation. Item D is our supplemental.
Sorry to cut you off there. Is there a time we could all meet and discuss supplementals, possibly increasing the supplementals?
That'll come up and we can talk at personnel committee about that and as we prepare for negotiations.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll put that on our personnel committee. Item E is academic supplementals. Item F is athletic support roles, site supervisors approval. Item G is approval of certified staff members as part LLT, stands for Literacy Leadership Team, and that work continues. That correlates directly with our early literacy measure and the work we're trying to do to address that. Item H is approval of our supplemental rate of pay for substitute nurses, hourly and daily. I is approval for an unpaid leave of absence. J is our list of subs. K is a few additional payment in lieu of transportation names. And then L is an MOU. This MOU I had shared with you in a board update. We were, Laughlin Schools reached out to us as another small district. They did a simulation where they went through the process of responding to an emergency crisis situations, and one of the things they recognized is being a small district, it would be very difficult to them to respond in the way that they wanted to. And so they reached out to several other smaller districts, including us, and said, in the case that we experience this, would you be willing, if you're able, there's a complete, if we're not able to, we can just decline. But if they had something happen or we had something happen, we could call and say, can you send additional counselors? Can you send other support staff? And then we would show up for them in whatever way we could. So that is the purpose of this MOU, and that's what it entails.
Yeah, emergency being used,
Yes,
something that we really don't want to push.
right, like some sort of crisis situation. So that is that item. And then item M is the acceptance of donations. Cash donation of $250 to Finneytown High School Music Department in honor of Scott Weiss, class of 1993, and Melissa Weiss, class of 1990, from Gilbert and Phyllis Weiss, who live on Old Oregon Trail in Virginia, and they donated that on September 18th.
I have one question.
Yes.
On I, approval of an unpaid leave of absence, does that have any impact on item 12?
It does.
Okay.
And I can just, I don't know if Dave, you want to speak to that more?
I can, but I didn't hear all of your.
I was just wondering if item I has any impact on, so 10I has an impact on item 12.
Item 12. Yes. Yes, it does.
But we can do both of them?
The one needs to happen first. The leave of
Okay.
absence needs to
Okay.
happen first.
All right.
Can we talk about it?
We can share, yeah. I think the leave of absence is just because the resolutions that follow the MOUs are because extended care is transitioning to the YMCA. Those three education or extended care attendant positions are being reduced and lifted. But due to the eligibility of retirement, they're taking a leave so that they can retire at the end of the year as part of because of
Okay.
the eligibility.
So it's in
Thank you for
their,
that
Yeah.
explanation.
their
Did I explain
benefit
that
to,
right, Dave?
yes.
Right, it
Okay.
preserves that severance pay that they're feeling like they're possibly getting cheated out of.
Okay,
So we agree that what's happened is unfortunate, and we don't want them to be penalized.
okay, good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Item passes. Moving on to item 11, resolution suspending employment contract for a classified staff member. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Do we need any discussion? Are we all up to date on what this is for?
Unfortunately for them, yes.
All right. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow? Yes. Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 12, resolution suspending employment contract for a classified staff member. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
So,
May I have a roll call, please?
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
yeah.
Item passes. Item 13, resolution suspending employment contract for a classified staff member. Do I have a motion?
So,
I'll second.
okay, moved and seconded.
Jamie motion, Seth second. Any questions? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes. Item passes. Item 14, adoption of revised policy. This is the staff communication policy 0148.1. We've talked this one extensively. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Do we need to discuss this anymore?
No.
May I have a roll call vote, please?
Aye.
What?
Nothing.
No.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
No. Item passes. All right. Item 15, review of action steps. The only thing I wrote down was, where'd it go? I don't know what I wrote down. I wrote something down.
I have to give Dave his official evaluation
Yeah, maybe
so
we
that
do.
we can sign it and get it.
I will follow up with all of the speakers tonight. And then, anything else?
I would like to have the conversation Jamie brought up about the substitute pay. I'd like to get that on the calendar and we can discuss that. I don't know if we can do it along with the contracts for supplementals.
Yeah, that'll be on the
Particularly
same,
sports.
that'll
Okay.
be part of personnel.
Personal communication with that.
Do you know when the next meeting is for that? Is it?
We have a meeting to design the meeting, but we don't have a date.
We're having a meeting about having a meeting.
Coming. But I would assume
Soon.
probably sometime in November.
Anything else?
Point of clarification, did we vote yes for the handbook, the changes, or do we need to
It didn't need a vote.
It didn't need a vote?
Nope. Okay. I don't have anything else on my list. Okay. The last item on the list is an executive session for those who were, they're gone. Cool. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
I will second.
Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Mr. Plow?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
All right, item passes. We will be in executive session. The last item on here is just the announcements. Do not feel like you have to stay. You are allowed to if you want. Please take a cupcake.
Yes, let's take all of them.
So it's us. It's us.